Hello coaches, trainers, and practitioners, and welcome to your PowerPlate product integration course. My name is Laura Wilson, and this short CEC course will assist you in implementing the PowerPlate into your programming. We're excited you've joined us and can't wait to share with you the science behind and application of this incredible tool. We know you're busy and have many products in your toolkit, so by the end of this course, we really want to ensure that you know how to integrate PowerPlate into your client programs safely and effectively. So why does PowerPlate education exist? To empower movement professionals with the knowledge and passion to successfully integrate PowerPlate technology within their training environment to enhance functional performance and improve quality of life through movement. Over the past 30 years, this technology has been and continues to be used by leaders in spaceflight, NASA, professional sports teams, athletes, Olympic associations, medical institutions, and the most successful universities and health clubs around the world. With literally hundreds of thousands of users globally and an ever-growing library of research, it is no longer a question of if it works, but rather how best to make it work for you. At the end of these 30 minutes, you'll be able to integrate PowerPlate into your warm-up, training and conditioning, and cool down. So let's get started.
And now we're going to move into the product science. And I know when we hear that word science, sometimes we get a little freaked out, but we have to pay attention here because there are some distinct differences in the power of the science behind vibration training. So what is PowerPlate? Well, in its simplest form, it's a vibrating platform that moves in 3 dimensions many times a second. Okay, so this is a product that stimulates us to do 3 things. It helps us to prepare faster, to perform better, and recover quicker than just about any other technology out there. But before we get to the methodology, we're going to have to make sure we understand some of the scientific learning points so that we can apply it. Number 1, anything you can do authentically on the earth, simple or complex, any movement can be done on the PowerPlate to enhance that movement. We have a 3-component training system. We call it our essentials. And we're going to take you through that one by one and each of the subcomponents. But the key is that when we use this product, it is an authentic environment for injury prevention, performance enhancement, and rehabilitation. So we have to know some of the technical components to make it safe and effective. So get ready, there are going to be 3 things that we need to share with you. Number 1, how does the product move? It moves up and down, it moves front and back, and it moves side to side. Arguably, the most important is up and down. When we move in the game of life or the game of sport, life is 3D. We move in different directions. PowerPlate provides one of the most authentic training environments to prepare us for the game of life and the game of sport by moving in 3 dimensions. Okay, so number 2, this is really important. It's the idea that this is mechanical harmonic vibration. It's not electrical, it's not magnetic. And more importantly, it's the kind of vibration that our body likes and thrives on. It's predictable, it's precise, it's safe, and it's authentic. Unlike a jackhammer, the PowerPlate provides the kind of vibration that's authentic to our bodies and we love to train against. For example, if you're walking, you're running, you're jogging, you're jumping, whatever it is you're doing, we constantly leave the ground and come back. We constantly leave the ground and come back, and we move in different directions. Every time we train on the PowerPlate, this is happening. Those mechanical vibrations give us authentic hits of ground reaction force in safe, predictable ways. Number 3, we're going to talk about 2 words that you have to get really comfortable with: frequency and amplitude. What I would suggest is you think of these as speed and distance. When we train on the PowerPlate, frequency is 30 to 50 times per second. All that means is it's the speed that the plate is vibrating. And when I say vibrating, as I've discussed, I mean actually moving up and down, side to side, front and back, 30 to 50 times a second. That's speed. But then we've got amplitude, our distance. How far does it travel every time? When you combine speed with distance, they're really your intensity dials. So when you use the PowerPlate, I want you to think about speed and distance being called frequency and amplitude. When we combine them, they create our intensity dial, or in other words, the demand that we're placed on that person's body. Why is that important? Because when you're on here, preparing, performing, and recovering, you've got to know whether you're using 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 G-forces. Frequency and amplitude are your dials for that. So, quickly recap, the 3 essential technical things you must know. 1, the plate actually moves. It doesn't just vibrate. Up and down, front and back, and side to side. It's mechanical, safe, harmonic vibration, which is completely authentic to how we move in life every time we hit the ground. And finally, speed and distance, which we call frequency and amplitude. So now we know how it works, we've got to move into what it does to the body. Welcome back, guys. So we just covered product science, technology, how it works. Now we've got to quickly look at and review product science, how the body responds. So this bit's about response and adaptation. Let's quickly review. The plate does 3 things, right? It moves up and down, front and back, side to side. It's harmonic, safe, predictable vibration. And we have frequency and amplitude, which we call speed and distance. They're our intensity dials. Okay, put that to the side for a minute. Here's what we know, research evidence as well as practice-based evidence. There are 4 main systems that absolutely are influenced by vibration training. The neurological system, the proprioceptive system, the musculoskeletal system, and the metabolic or circulatory systems. Now that's a lot. I don't know about you, but that's a lot. That's a lot of fancy words. But let's break down what that actually means. If we took 30 years of research, here's what we now know to be unequivocally true about vibration training. It stimulates and enhances brain and nerve function. It stimulates proprioceptive function. What does that mean? Skin, joint, bone, muscle receptors. They tell us how to move, when to move, and what to do. It's kind of a big deal. They stimulate our musculoskeletal system, our bones, our muscles, and our joints. That's kind of the bread and butter of what we do as coaches. And then finally, some unbelievable results in the circulatory systems. Now let that one digest. What I've just told you is it actually improves your cardiovascular respiratory function. Correct. The best part of all is that this is what we call autonomic. It's a really fancy word for saying subconscious. So think of what that means. Do you wake up in the morning and decide how to beat your heart or how to breathe? No. Your heart and your lungs do their job automatically. Do you think about firing your brave Wayne cells? No. It happens automatically. Do you actually have the ability to turn on or turn off your muscles? No. If I reach for something, it happens automatically. We know that we move unconsciously in sport and in life and when we're training. The most powerful thing about the power plate is that at an unconscious level, it stimulates all 4 of those systems. That's pretty incredible. The end result, we've got more muscles doing more things more often. That's the punchline. Now, before we get into our methodology, I need to explain the 2 most important mechanisms that explain how you use the products. Okay, so bear with me on this. The first thing is what you'll see in our literature as the rapid reflexive response, R3, also known as TVR. Here's how simple it could be. TVR says when I go to the doctor and I bend my leg on a chair and he taps it, I get an automatic rapid reflex response to extend my knee. That's not conscious, it just happens. When you're on the power plate, that same thing happens. This is what it looks like. If I put my hand on my chest here, I've got 2 ways that I can fire my index finger. This is conscious. And no matter how hard I try, there's not a lot of power in there. But if I just put that muscle on stretch, I get explosive power. So we've got conscious muscle action and we've got unconscious muscle action. And we know if I want to jump up, the first thing I do is go down. If I want to throw a ball that way, the first thing I do is go this way. Why? Because it allows me to explode my muscles. Every time you move on the power plate, this R3, this rapid reflexive response, or known as TVR, is doing this to every tissue in your body 30 to 50 times a second. So again, we've got more muscles doing more things more often. That's huge. The two biggest things that influence that are the position of your body and how much tension you have in those tissues at the time. So that's number one, R3. Number two is what we call our reflexive stabilization. This means that every tissue in the body has no choice but to respond to the power plate. If I jump up, when I come down, every tissue responds. If someone throws a ball and I catch it, every tissue responds. So at a global level, every tissue in the body is stabilizing when that plate leaves you and comes back, leaves you and comes back, whether it's up and down, forward and back, or side to side. So the two mechanisms that make the power plate so powerful for us is this unconscious muscle action, allowing us to explode without thinking about it, and the fact that the entire system has to stabilize regardless of the movement. So we have R3 and we have reflexive stabilization. One's very local, one's very global. If we understand this, it really influences how we prepare, perform, and recover, and it's going to help you understand why we give you the guidelines that we do. Okay, everybody, we've taken you through two quick product sciences. The first one was product science technology. How does it work? The second one was product science response. How does it impact the body? Now we get into the fun stuff, the stuff you're waiting for, which is the program science. How do I use it? So let's quickly recap. There are four main systems that this thing positively enhances in our training. We said it was the neurological system, we said it was the musculoskeletal system, the proprioceptive system, and the circulatory systems. What that leads to is some pretty cool outcomes that all of our clients need. Increased circulation, increased soft tissue extensibility, increased flexibility, stability and balance, increased strength, speed and power, and my personal favorite, increased recovery and regeneration. So what we're going to do now is take you through our three essentials: prepare, perform, recover, and show you how to apply it. Okay, the easiest thing I can tell you though is that the best way to apply it is to do what you already do great and use this to enhance it. The beauty of power plate is it can be used instead of what you're doing, but it can also be used as well as. And we want you to understand that integration exists. Now, as we go through our three components, there are three things that you will consistently see with Hayley, with Laura, and myself on camera in each of the essentials. Number one, you'll see the movements that we're performing, okay? The actual movements. Squat, push, pull, lunge, reach, step, whatever it is. There's loads of movements. That's the first thing we look at. Number two is the variations. How do we tweak? How do we change that movement to get a different or better result? And number three, your integration guidelines. Frequency, amplitude, time, sets, reps. Okay, so they're the three things we're going to look at: movement, variations, and integration guidelines. Now, just before I let you get running with Hayley and Laura, within the variations, there will be a common theme. 3 to be precise. You'll see us change one of the following 3 things to create an enhanced movement. Number 1, we'll change the position that the athlete or client is in. They could go from seated to kneeling to standing, for an example. They could go supine to sideline to prone. We could change the position you're in. Number 2, we could change your driver, which basically means what are you moving? I could squat with just my pelvis, or I could squat using my arms. I could lunge with just my legs, or I could lunge with my legs and arms. You'll see us change also what's moving. The third thing we're going to change is the direction or your plane of motion. I could lunge forward and back, sagittal plane. I could lunge side to side, the frontal plane, or I could lunge in rotation, the transverse plane. They're the 3 things that you will see us consistently in our system changing. Okay? Hope you're excited. It's time to move.
Hi, I'm Haley, and I am here to take you through the movement prep section, also known as our Prepare Faster. It's time to get rocking and rolling, and before we do that, I want to remind you that this is a moving platform where we're working on reflexive muscle activation. Also proprioception, where we're targeting the muscles, joints, and the skin, and we're getting that muscle pump from the vibration. What are the results of this? Well, we get increased blood flow, circulation, and tissue hydration. All of those things to prepare you to move better and faster. Additionally, we're going to get improved mobility and stability, and we're going to activate our neuromuscular system. This is crucial responses to get ready for training, practicing, and competing. What our movement prep and our Prepare Faster section includes is functional flexibility, mobility, stability, and soft tissue. Now, our first movement is the Anterior Kneeling Hip. You're going to position yourself in a half kneeling position with your hands on your hips, driving the pelvis forward. With the rhythm and timing. And now, we can vary the movement by driving it side to side. A little bit more, we can add some rotation, right and left. Still pushing the hips forward. Now we're going to go into the Anterior Hip Kneeling with arm reach. You're going to position in a half kneeling position as you drive the hips forward, reaching the arms up and overhead, opening up the front side of the body. Our variation would be to add the arms going side to side. Another variation is to add rotation, letting the arms going right to left. Here is our standing anterior hip with arm drive. You're going to stand on the plate. You can use the column for support if you like. As you drive the hips forward, reach the arms overhead. And you guessed it, a variation would be to go side to side. And one more, we can rotate. Now is our single leg posterior hip stretch. You're going to position one foot on the power plate. As you drive down, you can reach the hands or keeping the hands on the hips, driving the hips posterior, support knee bend. Additionally, we can go side to side. So driving the hips right and left. Here is our posterior bilateral hip stretch. So standing on the plate, you'll grab hold of the column, driving the hips back. And you guessed it, we can go side to side. Here's our lateral and posterior hip stretch in a 90-90 seated position. Positioning yourself with one leg forward on the plate, the other leg down. We're going to go ahead and drive the trunk forward. And then we're going to add some rotation. And now we're going to add the arms. And once more, let's rotate. Now is our standing posterior lateral hip. You're going to position yourself on the top corner of the plate, taking the outside leg back behind, rotating the hips forward, and dropping down. Here is our standing medial hip. You're going to position yourself to the side of the power plate with one foot on. As you sit back into the chair, Reach the arms forward as a little counterbalance, getting a nice stretch to that inner thigh. Additionally, we can add some rotation. Here's our kneeling medial hip stretch. You're going to position yourself sideways to the plate, placing the inside leg on the plate and driving the hips posterior. Now is our kneeling lat stretch. We're going to use the support cushion and we place it next to the power plate. You're going to kneel on the support cushion, placing one hand forward of the other, driving the hips back. And now we'll add a little variation, taking the right hand over in front of the left and driving the hips back again. And one more variation, we're going to take the hand underneath the left hand and drive the hips back. And now we're going to do the anterior chest stretch. We're going to find ourselves kneeling next to the power plate with our inside hand on the plate, outside hand on the floor. We're going to drive our chest out and down towards the outside hand. We're going to add a little variation by moving the hand upward and still driving the chest out and down.
Squatting on the plate, sinking the hips back, keeping knees soft, weight slightly in the toes. We can also take this into the frontal plane and even in the transverse plane. Squatting, adding an arm driver. We can do a similar movement here, moving into the frontal plane and transverse plane as well. Unilateral squats. Onto one leg, knee soft, abs braced. For lunges, we like to use a hard platform to elevate ourselves to the level of the power plate. Lunging onto the plate, front knee soft, tracking right over the middle of the shoe. We can also take this to the side and even into the transverse plane. We can also take lunges from the power plate onto the hard deck. Stepping back onto the hard deck, moving sideways, or even in that transverse plane. For deadlifts, we can use the straps to add extra tension. Softening the knees, coming down in the front, tensing through the muscles. We can also do this on a single leg. Pull down, again creating that tension. Or even adding dynamic movement to the deadlift. For a glute bridge, we want to make sure that we use a support cushion to elevate us to the height of the power plate. With the feet on the plate and the body on the cushion, drive both hips toward the ceiling. We can also do a variation with a single leg, keeping hips parallel to the ceiling.
Now we're going to move into our bilateral upper body pull using the straps. Bring the straps to your torso, hips back, chest forward, spine nice and long. Drive those elbows back like you're breaking the glass. From this position, I can change my angles. And then I can make it dynamic by sitting back and forward as I pull. Finally, I can go to single arm pull. Now we're going to move away from the straps to the ProMotion cables. We're going to pull single arm with rotation. My progression now is to do it on the plate. Now we're moving into our push-up series. I'm going to show you prone push-ups with variable hand positions. Now we're going to go into standing push using the ProMotion cables. Staggered stance, bilateral hand, push. My tweak, unilateral, alternating, reciprocating. Now we're going to go to standing on the power plate, bilateral hand, push. Again, we can do one arm, alternate, or reciprocate. Now we move into our prone plank, and our variation is going to be to move our pelvis in different directions. Side to side, and rotation. My progression now is to go to my hands and repeat exactly the same things. Finally, I can go to one arm, sagittal, rotational. We're going to take our prone plank and make it a sideline plank with different arm and pelvic drivers. Now we're going to use the ProMotion cables for a really cool arm circuit. We'll start with bicep curls, bilateral. Alternating, reciprocating. Now we're going to go into tricep using the ProMotion cables. Staggered stance, arms up, extend. Final tweak for the arms is to turn around. Sit back, chest up, rotate and extend for those triceps. We're moving into our recover, so massage is the name of the game. We're going to use our support cushion to make sure we're in a stable, comfortable position and let the plate do what it does best, help us recover and regenerate. First up is going to be our posterior hamstrings and calf massage. From this position here, if I want to apply more tension to one tissue, I simply load it with the other leg. And from this position here, I can start to roll inside and outside on that hamstring. Our next one now is going to go into massaging anterior hip and thigh. We're going to lay face down. A great tweak here is to flex the knee and allow your legs to row inside and rotate outside. Find the spots of greatest tension and relax. Next up, we're going to go to a crucial area, which is our lateral thigh, IT band, and glutes. We're going to side lie for this one. Get your hips and pelvis on the plate. Upper body completely relaxed and supported. Take your bottom leg behind, front leg up. From here, again, I can flex and rotate in and out. Next up is our inner thigh and medial hip massage. Crucial area that we get really gunked in. We're gonna lay down on the floor, get stable, one leg on, and stretch out. From this position, one of the cool things I can do is now pull myself up, single leg, and allow myself to rotate in and out. Next is our crucial glute massage. All of that stuff that gunks up in the back of the hip, we're gonna really release it now on the power plate. Sit nice and tall, put your inside leg across the outside leg, pull the knee to the chest, and just allow yourself to get into that glute. If you feel like the vibration isn't as comfortable as you like, all you need to do is move off, support yourself, and get that same massage on the glute. Huge area for our clients, athletes and patients that gets really tender and sore is the low back. They show you a really simple way to release that low back pain, massaging on the power plate. Make sure your back is completely in neutral and supported. Once you feel comfortable, feet up on the power plate and relax. Once you relax, feel free to rotate side to side to get different spots in that low back. Now we're moving into the crucial mid-back or that thoracic spine. You notice I'm sitting comfortably on the ground, nice tall spine, but I've made sure that the pad is between my back and the vibrating platform, okay? From this position here, cross your arms across your chest, sit tall, and just extend your spine. You can add motion to get a nice muscle pump, and feel free to even change your plane or your direction.
Thanks so much for watching our short CEC course. For more information, please check out our website right here on the screen, or come to one of our live workshops and download our app for more information. We hope to see you soon.